Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Torch Tales, Stories Behind the Hood. Yes, one more guest, one more episode. And I keep telling you, if they keep saying yes, who am I to say no? I just ask them, and for whatever reason, which I don't care, they say, sure, Frank, I'll support your whatever that is you're doing. And I have one of those people in the industry that's been here for a long time. Everyone knows him, and we're going to get to know Pete Gallagher. Pete, thank you so much for saying yes. And
thanks for having me.
I want you to tell me, where are we right now?
Downtown Newark, New Jersey. As you can see, we're in Hawaii, Maui.
Right? And why are we here?
GATA annual convention.
That's right. And as you can see, I've done two interviews so far while I'm here, and I did it somewhere else. And when I got my room earlier, and I looked at that view, I'm like, Pete, sorry, but you're coming to my room. It's, hey, sounds weird, but that's where we are, and I'm grateful that he said yes. Pete, I want to go back, like I was telling you before. I want to know a little bit about the path and the journey of everyone that's in the welding industry, regardless whether they are a manufacturer, a rep, a distributor, a welder, you name it. Mm-hmm. If you're in it, I want to know why and how come and how you got here.
Okay.
So let's go back to Pete, the little boy. Where is Pete from?
Roselle Park, New Jersey.
Oh, really?
That's about 15 miles from New York City, a small little town. Born and raised there.
And your parents are from there as well?
Well, yes. My dad's originally from Tamaqua, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And my mom was from somewhere in that area, Linden, New Jersey.
Gotcha. So till this day you live there?
No, I've been around.
Okay.
I moved from Roselle Park to Marlton, New
Okay.
Jersey, which is south about 75 miles, near Cherry Hill. And 5 years there, and then I moved to California.
Really? So how old were you when you got to California?
25-ish.
Oh, 25. Yeah. All right, so before we go back to California, let's go back. So high school, junior, all that.
Park.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So in high school, what were you into?
Sports, really. Football, baseball, wrestling, you name it.
Gotcha, because you have a brother that kind of looks like you.
I have a twin brother.
Yeah?
Yep. He has a little more hair than me.
All right.
More hair.
They all do. So, hey, caveat. I was going to wear my hat, and because of my guest, I'm like, no, I'm going to support you. So I got the same haircut. Yeah. Right? So playing sports, your brother plays sport as well?
Yep. Yes.
And it's only just you and your brother?
I have 3 older sisters.
Oh, okay, cool. So how was being the babies?
I was the baby by 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
But I give my sisters credit. They kind of broke in my parents, so we got away with a lot more.
Really?
My brother and I, yeah.
Got it. All right. So playing sports, high school. Now high school's done. What came next?
College. I went to Kane University.
Okay.
Started off working towards a math degree and was going to get into engineering, but I found that college college life kind of took over, and I switched my major to business.
Okay.
And my twin brother was taking business classes.
Alrighty.
And I realized I have to take it serious.
Gotcha.
And I did.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So now college is done, and that's when you moved to California? Or it was in between?
I lived in New Jersey for a while. I worked for Welco Gases. We actually worked for Welco Gases every summer and whatever chance we could. My dad would...
So hold on. So you started in the industry very, very early on.
My dad was in it too, yeah.
Gotcha. So how many years have you been in the industry, even though his dad was in it, so that kind of makes him his whole life?
When my brother and I started painting tanks, and it was propane tanks and bulk tanks, smaller bulk tanks, we were about 12.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, so child labor at its best. Got it. All right, hey, it's another era. Try to get away with that now. Yeah. So now, wow, that's for who again? Who was that?
Welco Gases.
Gotcha.
It's now Praxair.
Got it. Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know the deal. Now, at 12, whatever, you're helping, your dad is telling you, or you have the job, and it's more like, hey, go do this or help or whatever. Mm-hmm. Did you thought that this was something that you wanted to do?
No idea. No.
Or it's like, whatever?
Nope.
Really?
It was whatever. you know, I was growing up and you have chores to do,
Yeah.
and you know, you never thought twice about not helping your dad.
Correct.
So my brother and I did, and you know, we actually made a little bit of money doing it,
Yeah.
but and then in high school, every summer, we would work different divisions of the company.
Yeah.
But, you know,
So what was your dad doing there?
My dad ran a welding rental and repair division.
Got it.
And prior to that, he worked for Cardox and Kitty and stuff. So he's,
Oh, really?
yeah,
So
right.
all right, got it. So definitely I can see where kind of the full circle has come, you know,
Certainly
in your case, right?
Yeah.
So now you do that at 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
Play sports, done with college or in between, and then you move to California in your mid-20s, early 20s.
Mid-20s.
All right.
Yeah.
And that change happened, why?
Well, after Welco Gases, I went to work for Kaplan Industries and moved to South Jersey.
Okay.
So I was there for 5 years, and I met my future wife during that time, but she was a Californian transplant.
Okay.
So she was out there with her dad. And then a position opened up at Norris Cylinder for the Western Sales Manager. And I enjoy traveling and seeing things, so I just said, let's try this.
Right.
And moved to California.
And how long were you there?
Norris Cylinder?
Well, yes, and California.
10 years.
10 years.
Both of them. 10 years.
So now you are in your mid-30s. By the time you are, right? Now you after California, you come back, or you stay in California a little bit longer?
No, 10 years. And then a good friend, Dan Guerra, who owned Arc Gas Products in San Jose, a distributor, said, Pete, I want you to take this position with the IWDC. And so, you know, it wasn't even an interview. It was, when can you start? And
so for those of you, for the few people out there that might not, first of all, sorry I'm interrupting you, but I do that all the time because one thing leads to the other, but I'll come back eventually to the original comment question. For those who do not know what IWDC is, what is IWDC? Because it looks like a bunch of letters.
it is.
Yeah.
Independent Welding Distributors Cooperative.
Okay.
So it's a group of 140 to 150 independently owned gas welding distributors that own the IWDC as a co-op. And the co-op negotiates agreements with suppliers, manufacturers, has a wholesale operation, does pass-through invoicing, has a complete gas program for specialty gases and even shielding gases.
Got it. So how was it that the position came about? Your friend?
The owner of Arc Gas Products, Dan, was, I believe, chairman of the board that year.
Okay.
And he took me out to lunch and he says, Pete, I want you to take this job.
And what was the position?
Well, when I was first hired, I believe it was like general manager or something.
Okay.
A year later, it was vice president.
Gotcha. And how long were you part of IWDC?
10 years.
10 years too. So far, I'd see a, right? There's that
Little pattern happening
Yeah,
there.
but we'll get to that. We'll see if it continues. So 10 years IWDC. Now, what did you learn? Well, what was the biggest difference working for, let's say, an independent back in the day, and kind of being, now in the cylinder world in California, and now coming to IWDC? What was the biggest change between one and the other?
The challenges.
Really?
Yeah, Norris Cylinder is a great company, great product, and the sales approach is go out there, make a bunch of friends, you'll do well. And I did. I had growth every year. IWDC had a whole new set of challenges.
Okay.
First thing I did was I purchased a few books on cooperatives and what they are and how they operate. And, never worked for one, never associated with one. So took that approach, and then I took it was a learning approach on every category that we did. So if it was the wholesale operation, I would read and learn about all these, how wholesales operates, what their gross margins are, and fearless in making changes.
So before this, there was really, were they starting kind of from scratch? Was there a lot of things that were trying to implement when you came on?
What, for the IWDC?
Yeah.
No, it was...
Or you saw certain things that needed more help, and that's why you kind of opened the books and like, all right, we need to get better at this?
There's a board of directors and then a bunch of committees, but the board of directors was very receptive to what I said about the co-op and the position it was in.
Got it.
And I said, I suggest we make some changes and we do this. And some of the board members said, sure, what do you got? You have any ideas? And of course I did.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, let's roll with it.
That's nice.
So, yeah, and you get great support from a good board of directors.
Of course, and the way it should be.
Yeah, yep.
That's awesome. And so how long were you there too? You said
10 years.
10 years.
Yep.
Now, IWC, you learn all that. You put all the effort into bringing your own recipe into it and and changing some things. What came next?
Well, then I had a small position, partnership position with Weldco Metals.
Okay.
For about 3.5 years, and enjoyed it.
And who was there at that time?
Bill Rowland.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
But then they were about to be sold. The majority owners were out of Italy, and they were selling to an abrasive company.
Okay.
And I didn't want to.
Yeah,
handle abrasives, so.
it's part of life. It happens. It is what it is.
Yep.
So 3.5 years later, now you are finding yourself, and at every one of these positions, as you are growing and helping each one of these companies that you work for, you never saw yourself not working in the industry.
Oh, no.
Right?
Never.
Because this is what you know. This is the people, the relationships you've built. So it's the same thing I keep finding with every one of the guests that I have. Now, from there, you are...
I started my own business, Eastside Company. I still have it.
Yeah.
I don't dedicate a lot of time to it because of who I work for now.
Of course.
But yeah, I started my own business and started hitting distributors and getting sales and making everything happen.
Really? Yeah. So is that like an online thing or?
Yeah, some of it's online. Other is I sell to a few wholesalers and a few distributors.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Now, who do you work for now?
Chart Industries.
And what do you do there?
Sales.
Sales. And what is Chart about?
Chart manufactures cryogenic. We're basically an engineering company.
Okay.
That manufactures cryogenic vessels, cryogenic equipment, air moving equipment, vacuum jacketed piping.
Okay. And now you've been there for how long?
4 years.
4 years. And do you manage a specific area, territory?
North America.
North America?
Mm-hmm.
So that's very small. Yeah. Just saying. I mean, I'm not good at geographics, but
Chart has 3 regional managers. Chart implemented 80/20, so those regional managers have about 15 to 20 customers.
Okay.
So the 3 of them, but then there's all the other independent distributors
Of course.
in North America, and I get the rest of them.
Got it.
And I've known them for a long time, so yeah.
Yeah, no,
it makes it easy sometimes.
It makes sense. How much travel do you do for Chart now?
It's probably about 40%.
40%?
Yeah.
And do you get to, is it one of those things where, hey, these shows are happening, we have to have a presence there and you're part of that presence, and you also, on top of that, you have to do the usual working with reps or doing the routes and on your own, you still do all that?
Yeah, I kind of do it on my own.
Gotcha.
I attend all the conventions and the regional meetings and everything, and that's just going around seeing friends. I will combine, work, visiting distributors,
of course,
a few days prior or after, or other times it's just I need to get here and see so and so, and I just do it.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I do the same thing. You're going to be already out there. Makes sense. Why not, piggyback from whatever else is going on? Now, when you're married?
Yes.
Do you have kids?
Yes.
How many kids?
2.
2?
2 girls, 32 and 28-ish.
All right. Well, he dated himself. I was not going to ask him, but I'm glad he did. And what are their names?
Jessica and Danielle.
And what are they into?
Jessica manages several apartment complexes in the Indianapolis area. Danielle oversees the wine and cheese section for a fancy grocery store or whatever.
Hi, Danielle. Yeah, I like you already. And your wife, how long have you been married?
Carrie, we've been married for about 28 years.
28.
Yeah, Jessica's actually my stepdaughter. More of us married prior.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in the same boat. I have two beautiful new daughters.
Yeah,
Same
it's
way.
awesome,
So
isn't it? I know.
I'm loving every minute of it. Being in the industry, traveling, your girls are young, your wife and all that. How do you manage that whole thing? When you're home, how do you try to give them that quality time back then and now with your wife? Because I mean, it adds up.
It does. Um, Norris cylinder days, I was on the road about 45 weeks of the year.
Okay.
So I was always traveling. But the regional meetings, I would always take my family when for most of the regional meetings. But you appreciate the weekends more.
Right.
So you force yourself, if you want to have a good family,
Of course.
say, this is about my family this
Yeah.
entire weekend.
Nice.
That's kind of how we did it.
Yeah. No. I can see it. I'm only 12 years in, and I'm traveling more than ever, and I find myself having to make that choice of I got to do this for the family, for the wife, for the family to stay together. So I totally get it. When you go to these shows, someone seasoned like you that has a few more summers than me in this industry. What are you looking for? And I ask these questions because I get different answers, even though the bulk of the answer is the same. When you go to these things, you are trying to find what? What are you trying to look for when you go to these events?
Opportunities.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've noticed this throughout my entire career. A new opportunity, I jump in with cement boots on. Love it, and bringing these opportunities to the independent distributors, and seeing their eyes light up, saying, "You mean I could sell 10,000 gallons of liquid oxygen every 2 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me work with you on that." So
Wow.
it's those solutions and those opportunities that arise from it. It's exciting.
It is because I've always said that sometimes you cannot afford not to be there because you think you might be missing out,
Yeah.
and you get that whole hey, I wonder what happened when I'm not there, or somebody else stepped in, or there's so many things that we as sales guys think about, like if I'm not there, somebody else will.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Right?
Yep.
Correct. Where do you see the industry now versus how it was 5, 10 years ago, and where would you wish that it is 10 years from now?
Well, I see one thing, with the IWDC days, and I'm seeing now with other distributors, is they're not working as fierce competitors as they used to.
I agree with
They
that.
need to have a little better approach about going to market, and I'm seeing it, and it's exciting. And one of the groups that we were talking, and we were, of course, over drinks, and I said, what's wrong with several of you guys getting together and building your first fill plant, and they looked at me, and I said, yeah, you're competitors, but you lower your overhead, you lower your cost.
Correct.
You pull from the same place. You're not supporting the bigger competitors.
Yep.
And they said, look at the automotive industry. These guys have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
That place is in a Ford transmission plant. They also make them for Mazda.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
So the first time, and this is about reading about co-ops
Yeah.
and how they operate. But the first time I mentioned something like this at a owners meeting, the next year I had two distributors stand up and say, this is what we did last year. We merged, built a fill plant, did this, cut our cost in half. We respect each other.
Yeah.
We still compete.
Correct. Of course.
But we compete on all the other attributes versus, lowest price. So to see that is exciting.
It is. Yeah. It is. And I think I can't remember who I was talking to, and I said the same thing 10, 20 years ago. The competition was so in your face, and you guarded everything so close to your chest, where practices and all that, you didn't share anything because you thought you were giving them a leg up on anything. And now you go to these meetings, GATA, AWS, and you see like, well, hey, what failed for me was this, or what worked for me was that.
Yep.
And now you see like, wow, that's pretty cool to see that you're sharing what happened to you.
Yeah.
Especially because they feel more comfortable, especially when someone is like across states. Like if you're next door, like, well, I'll get back to you. Let me think about this for a second.
I know.
But I see that more and more often.
Yeah.
How does the welding industry, when it comes to the end user, affects someone like Chart or you? Because I know the distributor,
Yeah, that's a tough one.
what it does, but the end user, chart, who is that? How do I use it? What do I do with it? So it's up to the distributor to sell what you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you guys even work with end users
Yes,
to
a
bring
lot.
awareness?
Yes. And a lot of those calls are funneled to me. So the end users, they value distributors.
Correct.
The information that they normally would rely on from a distributor has gone down over the decades.
Correct.
So everything would have to be focused from a distributor,
Yep.
from Lincoln, Miller, whoever.
Yeah.
In today's world, especially with the internet, everything's at their fingertips,
Yeah.
and it's real easy
It's
to
there.
send an email and say, "I want to buy this direct from you,"
Yeah.
and I get those every day.
Really.
A lot of them are price shopping just to see
Yeah,
what the
just
value
correct.
is. But I sell independent distributors to these
Really?
people, and yeah, and the value that they bring, and liability and everything else, and they get it. They
Yeah.
understand completely. So
Yeah, and I know that you mentioned that earlier, one of our conversations, that you used to be part of many committees out
Yes.
there. And what was the one? Because it can be overwhelming, and we've talked about this. And you have so much time, and you got to dedicate it to the company, your family, your personal health, and then you add more things to your plate. The value on being part of some of these committees for short, long term, is it worth the ROI in your personal opinion?
if it's managed correctly, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. One of the first things I learned was when you bring a group together for a meeting, have an agenda,
Correct.
get answers,
Yep.
okay, and set a time frame.
Correct.
And say, we got 1 hour to discuss this. After that 1 hour, we are making decisions.
Correct.
And somebody needs to stay on top of that
The
agenda
minutes,
and bring everybody in. You'll have sidebars and side discussions, and stop it and bring it into what we're discussing on hand. So you have to learn how to manage a committee meeting. And I get a little frustrated when I attend any meeting and there's no agenda. And
Yeah,
my attitude is it's a
Yeah.
first step to failure.
It is.
Put together an agenda with a time frame and put down what decisions are going to be made,
Yep.
in advance.
Yeah, we find ourselves in this industry in many of those, and sometimes you just see that, oh, this is not going to go anywhere. This is going to be 2 hours of my life that I'm never going to get back, and I'm going to have to do this again next month. Oh my Lord! So
And the other thing is the people on the committee have to be doers. When you find one or two doers in a committee of 10 and they're doing all the work, that's not balanced.
Nope.
Start delegating.
Yeah, it is, and the thing is that mainly it's gonna give you a bad taste of what a committee is, and then you might not want to be part of anything else in the future, and then that's the snowball effect. All these things are needed done the right way.
Yeah.
But when you start, well, I didn't like that, and I didn't like that, and forget it. I'm not going to be part of one anymore, and it becomes a collective mindset, and there goes the information and everything else that you're trying to get and teach and pass forward.
Yeah.
So I get it. Where are you going next after this Hawaii trip?
Philadelphia,
Yeah,
in about a month.
in about a month.
Seeing a customer, doing some liquid cylinder training.
Gotcha. But for the most part, the rest of the year is going to be kind of easy going, right?
Yes.
I like how quick it's like, yes, right?
No, there was, what was prior to? Oh, I went to a customer's 75th anniversary, Kansas, Thompson Brothers, great family. Came home from that on a Saturday. Sunday I turned around, I was at the CO2 summit. Came home from that, had 2 days, and flew out here. So I'm ready for a few weeks home.
I get it. I get it. Pete, like I tell all my guests, it's harmless. It's conversations to show people that the welding industry, it's beyond than just grabbing a torch, grabbing a gun, welding anything, gluing anything together. There's so many avenues, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this, to share a light on, hey, you can go to school, get your degree, and that's awesome. And there's people that are built for that. But there's also a lot of us that there's other avenues that even though we went to school and we thought we were going to be this, now we do this, and we are grateful for it. So I hope, some of you learn out there that, oh, wow, I didn't know that existed, cryogenics or cells or rep agencies and manufacturers and all these other things. If there's one thing that you can tell a young person coming into, or at least inquiring about the industry, what would you tell them to check out first? So they can kind of get a taste and at least open their mind a little. Because right now, what I'm finding, and sorry that I'm not letting you say anything, I keep saying these things. You kind of got to make it sexier for that younger generation. Whatever that means. It just means connecting and making sure that they go like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Yeah. So what do you think?
The industry's, it's looked down upon. It's a dirty industry. But the truth is, there's so many other avenues. Yes, I can weld, and I have a plasma cutter, and I have 2 welders, and all that stuff at home. But you get beyond that, and let's look at a machine. I mean, you look at all the different components of the machine. Correct. There's manufacturers for both. There's importers. There's resellers. There's service centers. Those machines need shielding gases. Correct. Well, somebody has to manufacture the cylinders. Someone has to fill the cylinders. So now you're into the gas industry. Well, how does that gas get delivered? Cryogenic vessels. You know what? There's cryogenic vessel manufacturers out there as Chart Industries. Every little thing, it's so much deeper than just seeing a welding industry. Correct. Tungsten, electrodes. I mean, they're mined typically with titanium. And they have to be processed and manufactured correctly, and different percentages added for the right weld application. And there's a lot of science behind it. Chart has several engineering, or we have a huge engineering department, and these people are fantastic. But some guys are only handling aerospace. Correct. Other guys are handling water, wastewater treatment, and other water treatments. And I'm a welding guy. I grew up in this industry. Who would have thought I'm talking to SpaceX one day, right? And John's Fab Shop the next day, and it's just an amazing industry. So open your eyes, It is, and I thank you not only for the years that you've put in, because definitely it helps people like me, somewhere in the middle, and then also that next generation to see all these other avenues that they can choose and pick and still consider themselves blue collar and make a lot of money as well. But not only am I thanking you for that, I'm also thanking you for being always friendly. You're one of those faces that people, want to go shake your hands and say, hey, Pete, what's going on? And you always go beyond that to make sure that people feel comfortable. And I think it's something that we see. And I thank you for all of that plus some. And I told you this was going to be harmless. Thank you again for saying yes to this crazy idea. And I'll see you on the next one, brother. You're on, man.
You got it.
Appreciate it.
Well, guys, there you go. One more episode, one more conversation with somebody else somewhere. Well, Hawaii, to be exact. And that's the water back there. And that's a church, just so you guys know, right there. Which there was a wedding actually yesterday. We were going to crash it, but long story. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Again, Torch Tells out.
Thank you.
Mahalo.